again, when we look at the temples of whether it's ancient Egypt or the pyramid complexes of Central America, we don't realize that they are really places of initiation where people in their hundreds, if not thousands, flock to have an experience of the divine, and that it were these ancient governments who were absolutely supportive of giving everybody this direct personal experience of the fact that we were not alone.
I tell you, what goes through my mind is we're definitely in a cycle, and I can see that you're pretty positive about 2012. One of the aspects of being positive is what we're doing right now. The internet is allowing masses of people to spread ideas, and ideas are really strong. They're like a virus if it's a good idea. If it's a good idea and it takes hold, it'll spread. And I could see this happening. I could see it happening. But I also feel like it's a little bit of a race against time because I could see the old regime scrambling for every little tool that they have to keep control of the population. What would you say to a person that's on the fence going, because let's face it, most people really are confused. I'm one of them, but I see a light at the end of the tunnel. What would you say to most people to stay positive, and what can we do today in our daily life?
Well, first of all, there's an analysis of the Roman Empire, and it basically said that the Roman Empire was, there to be taken over 3 centuries before it actually fell, because for 3 centuries people believed that the Roman Empire was invincible, and then the dream ended, and people realized that it was there for the taking. I come originally from Belgium, where in 1830 there was a play in Brussels, and the play was very stirring up the emotions of the Belgians who, at that moment in time, were oppressed by the northern neighbors, the Dutch. And 500 people ran out of a theater. 250 of them began to rebel, and in a few hours, the revolution really was the Belgian Revolution. Belgium was independent, and it took 250 people. A few years ago, at the time of the Iraq invasion, there were 2 million people who took to the streets of London in protests. When 2 million people are on the streets of London, um, they are the true power of that world, of this country. And it is only their own thought process, to so to speak, which prevents them from taking control of a country. So let there be no doubt about it that the masses will always rule. But the masses need to be in a mindset whereby they are brought to the brink, quite often, of abject poverty or abject horror before they will take that control away. And that doesn't have to be brutal. When 2 million people are on the streets of Washington or New York or Los Angeles, there might not be much shooting when these people take control of these cities, and that is really, I think, something which we need to begin to understand. Which is, it's the classic line from V for Vendetta, that great Wachowski movie. Um, People should not be afraid of their governments. The government should be afraid of the people. Unfortunately, we are afraid of the government, and that is through a series of misplaced respect, which is slowly coming to an end. The respect for governments disappeared in Europe a few decades before it disappeared in America. I think the current elections in America really are showing the world that America is waking up to the same reality which the rest of the world has already been in for a number of years, which is that politicians will not be able to change the political landscape. It's like an ant asking, to change something about the life of an ant world. Yet you and I with a spade or whatever instrument can change the life of thousands, if not hundreds of thousands of ants. And the same is true for politics. Politicians will never change the political landscape. but the political landscape can be changed. And I think what's happening today is, a slow realization um, that something is changing. And before I actually will complete this thought, early on in the question you said, the old world is scrambling. Well, I watch American sports, but the greatest sport to actually demonstrate this, which is soccer. And whenever a soccer team is scrambling, it basically means that there are 11 players in front of their own goal, desperately trying to keep the opposition from scoring.
Right.
Guess what? If you do this, if the game is endless and not limited to 90 minutes, a goal will be scored, either through exhaustion of those 90 people in front of that goal or through the brilliance of the 11 players who are attacking it. But, that defense, when it's scrambling, when it's unorganized, when it's basically fighting for survival, it will come to an end. And it's not just in soccer; it's in everyday life that is the case. So that is one thing. But I think what's happening is something which I think I was pointing out before, which is that we are a global village. Technology, the internet has made the world a global village. The economy of the world is a global village. We've seen this in all of its negative aspects in 2008 with the global financial crisis. But the underlying fact of the matter is that China, is prosperous because it is basically taking over some of our production systems. And at the same time, the West is in a problem zone because we don't really know what to do with that as an end result. But again, politicians in this regard are telling us certain things which I think are wrong, and in some cases I think dishonest, depending on whether the politician is intelligent or not. The absolute focus on borders, on frontiers, is something which no longer exists. Yet, to say something along the lines of we need to defend our borders from immigration or the foreigners this or the foreigners that, it doesn't work. The economy, first of all, has nothing to do with the foreigners. The economy are all multinationals. It's in the word itself. They are multinational. They can pick and choose to which country to go. For them, borders do not exist. The way politicians play with things like taxes don't apply to these multinationals either. It are, at best, efforts of decent men who are trying to pretend that they're in control of things. In a large percentage of other cases, I think it's complete dishonesty, whereby they're pretending to be somebody to the people, which is absolutely not the case. But what I see is truly that all of us are becoming citizens of the world, or not already have become so, and then there are other people who are not so much there yet, and then politicians who are definitely trying to pretend that there is such a thing still as borders, whereas in reality that's not the case. And I think the quicker we let go of this idea that there is still division amongst us, the quicker the world will actually become a better place. It'll let go of tremendous amounts of stupidity. It will be a clear signal, I think, that we are able and willing and open to see that we as mankind truly are far more alike than what separates us. I mean, I travel an awful lot. I see how people across the world are identical, but when we are confronted with some of the ideology which isn't theirs but which they hear through newspapers or television or whatever, that's where the division comes in. That's where actually the stupidity comes in as well, where the crazy thinking happens. It's not native to mankind to think poorly of our neighbors, but it is easy to get crazy thoughts into people when people are somehow deprived of true information, either through correct information which is given to them through the media, or through direct experience of these different civilizations on our planet.
Well, that sounds like an idea worth spreading.
Please help me.
I'm going to do my best. So, I I'll probably cut the interview here, and just let you know that it's really been a pleasure talking with you, Philip. My wife and I watch you all the time. We've watched YouTubes and Ancient Aliens, and it's for us, it's really important what people like you are doing, because if we don't do this, if we don't get out and speak and get beyond our comfort zones, and especially if you can do it with an academic background where you can get the other side to listen a little bit, it's really been nice seeing your journey and watching what's going on.
Well, I mean, it's been an absolute pleasure being here, and as you say, it these kind of things require all of us
Yep.
to keep hammering on the path. So thank you for having this show and working and clearly reading a lot as well, looking from your background.
Yeah, it's so. If you email me a mailing address, I'll mail you a few copies of the issue when it comes out.
Absolutely.
Okay.
I will send you my mailing address straight away.
All right. You take care, Philip.